ashamed. Then right back in his arms when he finished running his game. It's like you the person to blame. Blinded by false realities, thinking that he would change. Ran into your friends and they said you mentioned my name. But how you so unhappy and all you do is complain. You allowed it, ain't talking about now, I'm talking before that. When you kept on going back and I told you I won't support that. Wish that you would've fought back, returned it after you bought that. You wish he could be me, but he treats you just like a doormat. I say that you a queen, but you seem to always ignore that. Yeah, nobody's perfect.
I don't know why. I was about to be like, welcome back, but I was like, I don't want to say welcome back.
I was waiting for the music to come in. We're not. So the music.
You know what's crazy? The music is never going to cue you in because I add the music at the end. That's called post production. Yeah, that's me being fancy. Yeah, but it is episode 2, and
we're
returning.
Live?
We are live, fool.
All right.
Speaking to the mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, episode 2 time. Tony, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Oh, in case anybody's listening, they wondering like why we don't know if the person there. We don't sit next to each other when we do this, so it's like a big 3-way phone call. So don't judge us, and if you are, whatever, nigga. So yeah, we here for the second week. Happy to be back, and got some positive feedback from episode 1. You know, thank you to everybody that reached out, that sent friend requests to the Instagram page, the Complicated Simplicity podcast page. Yeah, like I was like kind of excited. We got a lot of good feedback and we got a lot of plays. You know, I was kind of hyped about that. I was like, dang, this is doing like mad good, even though Ty didn't promote it.
First of all,
shady boots.
I got you on this one.
Thanks. Awesome. But Tony was doing his thing. I like it was like Tony had like a vested interest. Like I think he tried to add this to like his portfolio. Like he had some fancy videos and stuff.
Fancy videos.
Yeah, he was posting like the DMs he was getting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of nice people who support.
Get up on it.
It was a lot of nice people, and they like mostly came from you. We appreciate you, Tony. You the man like that.
Well, shit.
Yeah. Now, something that we're going to be doing each week is we are going to be spotlighting a small business of the week that we would like for anyone that's in our area to support. And also, you know, just to show love, especially, you know, for our Black-owned businesses, you know, to coincide with what we were speaking about last week, you know, the resurgence or the boom in Black-owned businesses. So the one that we will be highlighting this week is called Pyramid Tire. It is located at 581 Williamstown Road in Sicklerville. They do repairs. They sell tires, which is why it's called Pyramid Tire. And they also have U-Haul services as well. I have used them. You know, that's how I got moved into my my home. And I got tires from there and, you know, some other services. So amazing business, amazing owner, Maya. You know, shout out to our girl Maya
Tolbert.
Yes,
Maya.
Doing her thing. And yeah,
it's a really good service. It's a really good service. Quality customer service, great products. They get you in and out. I got my tires done there as well too. And one of the best things about it is black owned. So I know we all over here like know Maya Tolbert, but if you don't know her, she's a great person, great businesswoman too. So check them out.
I'm gonna have to support. I need some new tires actually. So I have to hit up Maya.
We can like go flatten one of your Jones right now.
Can we not do that?
I mean, if you try and support, you ain't really trying to support if you ain't down to flatten your own tire. But you know, I'm just saying. But yeah, this week I got some stuff to get off my chest.
What you gotta get off your chest, Chris?
Yo, N-words pissed me off this week. Now, I'm going to give a precursor. This is for the hypocrites that have this particular stance. If you're not a hypocrite and you keep the same energy all the time, this ain't for you. You can like disregard what I'm about to say. But if the shoe fits, you can heel toe in his jaw because y'all was bugging online. Like last week, remember, we had just found out that Kamala Harris had been nominated as the vice presidential nominee.
Right.
Amazing thing, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? We was real hype and all that good stuff. On the flip side, you had people that was angry about that because they feel she's not for us. She's not for the culture. She's not, all these different things. She put too many black men in jail. She spearheaded all these different things. First off, I feel you. I understand what you're saying. I'm not the biggest supporter of Kamala Harris myself, but she's better than Trump. We can just put it that way. Now, where my issue is some of the things that were said and the energy that was put behind it. There was this influx of our own people just immediately denouncing her and saying that, they're not going to vote and all these different things. Cool. Y'all can do that. That's y'all business. You cannot vote if you don't want to. But if you're not speaking out about the person that's already in office, taking us down this terrible road and online slandering her and slandering, someone who is black, that's the second thing I'm gonna get to. I'm gonna get to that later. Then I don't really respect it because you're not keeping that same energy. How you don't speak out about Trump, but you speak out about the first black vice presidential nominee who also happens to be a woman. So that's corny. Also, people have been saying that she's not a black woman. That's super corny because if her dad's Jamaican and her mom's Indian, she's probably blacker than Obama. Just saying. I know she's not African American per se, but she's definitely black. So y'all corny for that. And also the second part of what I'm mad about is everybody that's mad about what's it called? WAP. Listen. Fellas, men that are saying that this is too vulgar and they're setting a terrible example for the daughters and the women of the world. Listen, we grew up on Akinelli, put it in your mouth. We also grew up on Uchi Wally. Just a couple weeks ago, we were watching the Snoop versus DMX versus, and I seen mad people yo, I can't wait until they play Ain't No Fun if the homies can't have them. So all this talk about, oh, this is trash and we don't need to play this and they don't need to represent us. Y'all not keeping that same energy, fam. Uncle Luke's still getting celebrated. He getting Lifetime Achievement Awards. And we know what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. Let the sisters live. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you. You ain't got to slander it, though.
I wonder why people are having that response, though.
Because they don't like women. And I don't mean that in a sense of their sexuality. I'm speaking of people don't respect women as much as they claim to. And it's evident and it's annoying and it's hypocritical because there's men that we just watched the other verses. 2 Chainz brought out the essential workers, the strippers, had them, shaking their cheeks everywhere. But now that, somebody who used to really do that is now a rapper and speaks on their own experience, now it's an issue. That's corny. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But it's also the number 1 song in the world right now, number 1 on Billboard. Why are we not celebrating that? I get it. Rhapsody is, she should be celebrated because Rhapsody is fire. But it is what it is. Sex sells. It always has sold. It will continue to sell. And just because it's coming from a woman, don't mean that you got to slander it.
But why
that's my rant.
They're the first. Little Kim, Foxy.
Fam.
All their lyrics, it's nasty, filthy.
She said she was going to make a Sprite can disappear.
And that was some of the most level-headed shit she said. She got really down into it on hardcore.
So I don't get it. I think it's corny. I think they just don't like, and I'm saying they, but I just think people don't like Cardi because what she represents. And I don't know why people don't like Meg. I don't get it. She has good energy, among other things. They not showing her no type of respect. She got shot and ain't nobody really outraged.
I think people just got some speculations. People don't understand what happened with the whole shooting thing because it kind of just happened and then nothing happened after that. So it was kind of weird.
I mean, She went to the hospital. What's supposed to happen afterwards?
Yeah, but it's like, what about the charges against Tory? If anything, if any charges were brought to him, she got shot in both of her feet, and like it didn't hit any bones and nothing, and she didn't have to go through any surgery or anything, and now she's just fine.
Shot. Lil Wayne been rapping about getting shot for the past 25 years, and he shot himself. So, I mean, shot is shot. So her battle scars is just. I'm just saying. So yeah, that was my rant. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest because it been brewing all week. I've been annoyed with everybody. Like, it is what it is, and yeah. So we 10 minutes in, and I'm over that already. So if y'all got anything y'all want to say about it, cool. If you don't, cool. If you got a rant of your own, cool. But yeah, that was my 2 cents, and yeah, I'm done.
All right, so that's Chris's 2 cents. So Ty, you want to do your 2 cents? You want me to do my 2 cents?
You can do your 2 cents.
All right. So my 2 cents right now has still focuses a lot on COVID-19. And ever since this pandemic has really started, I've really wondered how individuals with disabilities have been coping with the pandemic. So we do know globally 1 out of, every 7 individuals live with some type of disability. So you can have either an acquired disability where you were born essentially able to do a lot of things and you developed a disability somehow throughout your lifetime and you're now living with that disability, or you can have a disability that you were born with. So I just wondered, because COVID-19 introduced an entirely different way of living. So as we touched base last time, a lot of it's based, we're afraid to touch things. We're afraid to have social interaction. But for individuals that, for example, live with blindness or deafness or both of those, disabilities, how are they navigating this world with limited social support? Or if the only world that you know is a world through touch, and right now touching things is a risk, how are you living? And how are you coping with that? And how are you responding to those unique kind of stressors? It's just something that I don't believe I didn't see too much of the media covering, because if 1 out of 7 individuals live with a disability globally, that's over here right in our backyard, right at home. So not all disabilities necessarily have an individual who needs to touch stuff in order to navigate or explore the world, but other disabilities require people to be at home providing those kind of essential care and life skill support. When you can't have somebody around you in that kind of capacity, perhaps staying there as long as they used to, because that might be the only social support that you have in your life. There was a research study that was put out, and I was looking for the authors before we went on here, but I can't. So if I find it, I'll post it on my social media, where the author was suggesting that it's increasing loneliness. And what we do know about loneliness, for everybody, we just had an increase in loneliness because we had to socially isolate. But for individuals that already have that specific vulnerability, I can only assume that loneliness is hitting at a different kind of level. Because think about it. If you live with some type of degenerative disorder, or disorder where you can't really move around a lot, and the only social support that you have, or one of the most meaningful social support that you have, is somebody that comes to the house and spends a few hours with you, getting some things done around the house, and you might have created this great bond with them. You might already have a compromised immune system too. So when they come in, are you engaging with them in the same? Is that little bit of time that you have within a human kind of limited in that kind of capacity? And what is that experience like for you? And I in reading that literature, as I kind of close out this kind of thought I've been having, because I'm still kind of exploring this, and I wish there was some way that I knew how to support individuals better, I was kind of feeling a little guilty, experiencing my own stressors or complaining about my own stressors. But I'm like, damn, somebody else in the community right now is really getting the blunt of it. I have that luxury to, call my friend over, and we can socially distance and hang out with each other. But I don't have a weakened immune system. I don't have this kind of disability, and that's a privilege. So I think a lot of my thoughts and prayers and kind of support and any kind of capacity that's been going out to that kind of population, I want to share that with the viewers and you guys.
Deep.
That's my 2 cents.
I'm serious. I'm like, dang, I really sat here and like ranted about WAP, and then he came with that. My bad.
Whatever. These are just our 2 cents, and I like this. I like this. Like that. I think both of these are both meaningful thoughts. So I'm with it.
Big facts.
Big facts. Come on, Ty. What's your 2 cents?
Here I am with the climate crisis. Okay, I read an article.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
My bad. Yo.
Because I'm furious. Okay, listen.
Okay.
So I read an article that said that U.S. cities are losing 36 million trees per year in the urban and rural communities. And they had this study over a 5-year period. So with less trees, that means that the cities will become warmer, more polluted, and generally more unhealthy for humans. And it also takes about 10 years for a tree to fully mature. So that definitely brought some attention to me because that's a lot of trees going within a year. And with it taking 10 years for a tree to mature, that's really alarming to me. I also read an article that along the coast of Miami, there's a ton of species of fish that's just washing up dead. And a big cause of it is a lack of oxygen that they're finding in the water. And a lot of it is coming from like sewage leakage, septic tanks, and water storms. So that's also alarming because it all brings back to how we're connected. So there's a show that I was binging on Netflix called Connected. Okay. You gotta watch this show. Out. So it was interesting because they were talking about humans when they poop. Where does that go? What happens to it? So basically, they separate.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
you say when they poop.
They separate the poop in the water, right? Get some chemicals, clean the water back up, and then they recycle that water back for us to use. Now, some bodies of waters, scientists will go and collect the water and also collect some of the fish that's in the body of water, and they'll find different drugs in them like birth control and cocaine and all types of medical drugs or whatever humans are doing. So that affects the ocean, and that also affects what people eat. So I don't know if people are aware of what's going on and that's going on. So that's huge. So
that is huge.
I know everybody should feel like do their part in trying to reduce, reuse, recycle, try to dispose of whatever drugs that they're using, dispose of them in the proper way.
Put the cocaine away the right way.
Yeah, or don't do it,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good alternative too. Yeah, love a little birth control with my salmon. That's sick though. Like that really is.
And to know that that's something that you are potentially consuming, so that's a little hazardous, and that's for fish to be washing up ashore dead like that.
Yeah,
that's
saw that
huge.
Video.
That's definitely huge.
Yeah, that video was like mad, like sad because it was like a dude just like I won't even know if say it was a boat. He was just walking through the water and he was just looking at everything that was dead.
Yeah.
And it was hundreds of fish and turtles and lobsters, like everything was dead. And it was all because of like what we're doing.
Stingrays, like it was all types of things. So
there's this like concept, well not this concept, there was this argument that I watched on YouTube, and they were saying humans often fear what is like going to be the biggest plague to like wipe out humanity that's ever to hit Earth, for example. And it was like the biggest plague to ever hit Earth was humankind. Like the amount of destruction that we are putting on our environments. The fact that you brought up climate change, because I know the data they've been saying like we should have did things back in the 70s and 80s to slow it down. So now it's not we can't stop it. We can only kind of mitigate some of the effects and slow it down. And it's like it's leading to food and water insecurities and this overall temperature rising, which they're saying like if the global temperature rises by a fraction, we're in some deep shit basically. And it's such a shame because you had said, like, for example, when you brought up the idea of, human waste and the way that we recycle it. And there was this other documentary I was watching about India, and it was saying that the individuals there, for example, there's one subculture of India where they would use the bathroom, have their waste, but like keep the waste buried around for a long time, because after a while, the waste goes to this kind of human waste goes to this thing where it's no longer dangerous. It can become manure. And then that's how they reuse it. But I say, if you try to pitch something like that to the Western world, we're going to be like, ew, putting our own poop on our food. Like, oh my God. But I'm like, that's kind of what we should be doing instead of using all of this energy to break it down and stuff like that. Even the fact that you said about the pharmaceuticals coming up in fish, but they were saying there's microorganisms of micro specks of plastic all through our bloodstream now, because it's so out in the world right now from our usage of plastic over the last few decades. And now in our blood, it's in our food, like these micro specks of plastic. So it's kind of alarming, the stuff that we plague on ourselves and our environment. I like that you brought that up. It's kind of scary, but it's real.
So to surmise, humans are the cancer of the earth.
Period.
Purred. Sorry, viewers. Listeners. Shit.
It is what it is.
Right.
But yeah, so
food for thought.
That was that literally.
Food for thought.
So that was that. That's our 2 cents on, some things that we got in our heads, in our brains. And yeah. So now we're going to actually get into some of the actual topics or questions for the week. So the initial one that we have here is, and this is for both y'all, y'all can, whoever wants to jump in. How do you deal with one of your friends being in a relationship that you don't agree with? And I'm mainly speaking of like romantic relationships, but friendships count too. But as far as if you have a friend, male or female, that's in a relationship that you don't agree with, how do you handle that?
I don't handle it. I don't deal.
Explain. Came in with all that sass. And
before, I used to, I guess, talk to my friends to come with them my concerns. I don't like whatever your situation is you got going on. Or my friends will come to me, whatever the situation is, and I dislike their partner because of that. Then I found a lot of times that they'll go right back to that partner. So I'm the only one left, I guess, feeling a way that they're disrespecting my friend or whatever that they have going on. So now I just let my friend know, I don't like your situation. I don't like your boyfriend, whatever, this friend that you have. I don't want any parts of it. I won't be around them. Don't talk to me about it. I exit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony, you the same? Or?
So this is interesting because I'm pretty sure, not just for us three, but I'm pretty sure the people who are listening have dealt with this sometime.
Yeah, this is kind of universal.
Yeah. It's just interesting because, I've dealt with this when I was a teenager, and now I'm dealing with it like in my adult life. So you have that kind of. So one thing that I try to do is I try to check myself a little bit with it, because I can find out that. Let's give a scenario. So you have a friend who's dating somebody who you particularly don't care for. So in order to respect my friend, the way that Tony takes is to be cordial. At least I'm not going to blatantly be disrespectful for that person, because I'm respectful to you out of respect for my friend. So I'm going to be cordial. I'm going to engage, but you're not going to get no depth of information out of me, or any kind of complete bonding, because I don't mess with you like that. Excuse me. So, but in the process of doing that, I think in my adult life now that I'm trying to learn is to kind of check my own confirmation bias and see if I'm transferring some of the negative energy I have from past experiences in my life or something like that onto them. Because yes, there are situations where your friends keep going back to people who are toxic, and blatantly that they're not for them, and hopefully that they will come to their own conclusions that this person is just not an ideal fit for them. But there are other options where there are other scenarios where you just don't like the girlfriend or the boyfriend. And there might be something that I'm looking for that confirmation bias. What confirmation bias is, I'm looking for information. I'm only looking at the information to support my idea and not really paying close attention to the information that doesn't support my idea. So they can have a bunch of pros and cons, but I tend to really hyper focus on those cons and downplay those pros. So I find myself being victim of that. Like, oh, good, like in that process, I'll kind of come to the conclusion like, okay, you're not somebody I would date. You're not even somebody I would recommend, but I see why they like you. And this is what I'm going to say. As long as you keep my friend happy and safe and don't do anything harmful to them, I'm okay. But like that own internal struggle, the way I deal with that is just to be cordial. And it's just, I mean, younger Tony would be like, I'm not talking to you in your face at all. But like now it's just like that doesn't get anywhere. And then kind of to wrap this up, because I want to hear what everybody else has to say about this, but I'm trying to put myself in that kind of empathic viewpoint where if this were me and I were genuinely in love with this person and one of my close friends or somebody very important to my life that's been around for a while is not getting along with them or don't like them either, that creates an always constant awkward situation for me, whether it's a parent or not. I'm going to be like, ew, like, I love this person and you're my close friend. Why aren't you guys getting along? And why don't you like this person? Stuff like that. So it makes it really, really uncomfortable for me. What would I need from my friend in that situation? I would need my friend to literally just support me. Listen, you can vent and tell me what you feel about, and I will honestly listen because I respect your opinion. Obviously, you're my friend. But past that, I just need you to support me and allow me come to my own conclusions. Sound the alarm if you see some apparent bullcrap, and I'm just Love Is Blind, Eve song in this bit, in this piece. But if it's not like that, perhaps I just need you to support me right now, and having that conversation perhaps would facilitate that support a little bit more. And that's what I'm finding about in my adult lives. What do you guys think about that?
So with me, it depends on if it's my guy friend versus if it's my girlfriend. So as it pertains to like my guys, my boys, my bros, like if they're in a relationship that I don't agree with, it's with either it's going to be for a reason, whether it be something that either I saw on my own or something that you may have told me. As it pertains to like my boys, I think I'll be like more forthright in like vocalizing that and the reasons why, because I hang out with my guys more than I hang out with girls. So. And, we do more, like I'll hang out at their houses and, those type of things. So if it's going to be a situation where, there are girls around and I don't like them, for lack of better words, like I'm going to have to be more vocal about that because that's going to be like a major impediment in my relationship with the bro. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be times where you may be doing something. And if it's just us three and it's like a small setting thing, I might pass. So it does matter in that way as it pertains to my guys. When it comes to girls, I usually don't say nothing. Unless I'm asked, because I'm one of those people that's kind of like honest to a fault. And yeah, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you like, nah, I don't really like Bull, or I don't think y'all should be together. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But see, when it comes to girls and women and like the dudes that they dealing with, you run the risk of like almost coming off like a hater if you're that kind of like honest with them, where you're like, nah, he's not good for you, because then like he can always manipulate the situation and be like, oh nah, he feel like that because he trying to get with you. See, like it throws like a whole nother dynamic into it when it comes to women. So a lot of times when it comes to girls, they're like, you got a dude that is a trash dude, that's your problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. Like, I'll tell you if you ask me, but I'm also not going to sit and have a bunch of conversations about dude. I'm not going to be talking, because like now it's like you're talking about him behind his back and all that kind of stuff. That can always get a little iffy, because then since I already don't like you, if it comes to a situation where you're talking crazy, we can meet up and stuff. So yeah, well, that's mine.
I can I ask you a few questions about that, because that's interesting. So with see, like this is making me think. So we essentially, one of the reasons why you would treat a female friend differently is because it can come off like you are like a hater, for example. But then it's also like perhaps they won't respond in a way that's like critical about it. Like they're going to look at it like it's like I don't even know how to put it into words. So we have like, if you have a friend who has that kind of deep insight and respects your criticism and knows that it's not negative criticism, is just like a corrective feedback, for example. Like I'm just bringing this to you so I can just see what's going on. We're saying with female, you run the risk of kind of like this kind of blowback in your face because that
because I feel like love trumps logic. So you can respect my opinion. You can know that I'm coming from a place of like love and not, being a hater and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm genuinely telling you why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you like are in love with this guy, it don't really make a difference.
You can't look like a hater to your guy friend.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
like,
what if he's dumb in love and he's looking at you like, oh, well, you might want my girl. That's why you saying this and that and the third. I feel like that could happen. So
I'm speaking of my friends directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
My bros know that that's never the case. If that's your girl, that's your girl. I'm not looking at her, nothing. None of
your
that.
Your girlfriends don't feel that way?
Yeah.
Because I feel like your girlfriends will be a little value your opinion as well.
Well,
I think so.
I don't think so. Like, I think they'll listen. I think they'll hear me out if they ask because they want to know. But I think it's just more so a confirmation thing. I don't think they actually like want to take like your words so that they can apply it.
But okay. But I guess are you saying that you're just saying it just because they're women, and I guess you're like just logically like they wouldn't be able.
I'm not saying that they wouldn't be able to. I'm just saying, in my experience,
it hasn't worked.
No, like women are going to do what they want to do regardless. Like who they want to be with is who they want to be with, and the opinion of their guy friend normally isn't going to get in the way of that. I think maybe the girlfriend may have a little bit more sway for whatever reason, or maybe for good reason. I don't know, but I just feel like as a guy, as a man, when it comes to like my women friends, like if they dumb in love, they're going to be dumb in love. And that's just going to be the end of it.
But men, I guess as a group,
but men are going to be dumb too.
Yeah, but
if that's what you. Mm-hmm. Yes, men are going to be dumb too. But also, like, there's a clearer conversation that you can have with your guy friends. For me, I'm only speaking for myself. I can tell you, like, listen, I don't like Shorty. She did this, and that'd be the end of it. And if he take it and apply it, cool. If he don't, cool. Me and him still gonna be cool. Just don't always invite me over if she's there and it's just us. If it's a group setting, like you said, Tony, I'll be cordial. I don't care.
Right, but in that same response, if you give that to a female friend, what you're saying is that she might not respond the same way as that male friend.
No, I think they'll listen, but I don't see anything beyond that. I think that is too much run. It's more so not that she wouldn't respond the same way. It's just that the after effects can be much different. I don't think that my boys are going to be like, oh, he's trying to, get at my girl. He's being a hater. He's doing this. I feel like that can much easier happen as it applies to like your women friends.
So
I think it's easier.
I have a question to throw back to you guys because I think if this kind of gender difference exists in one group, in this case females, what the thought is that females might not be that receptive to that kind of feedback for various reasons. But I wonder, one of the reasons is it because I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree, but then again, I don't have a lot of male friends, so I don't know. So would it be, or is it coming down to appraisal? So let's say we have two groups. So we have men and women, and like if you have a male friend, so let's say you have a male friend and a female friend. Both of this male friend and this female friend both got relationship problems that mirror the same kind of stuff. Your boyfriend and your girlfriend over here still acting the same kind of fool. So, and this male friend and this female friend that you both have the same level of insight. So they're not like that difference when it comes to critical thinking. They both have the same level of insight. Let's assume, just to try to make the groups as equal as possible. What we're saying is that the same kind of corrective feedback that you give to your male friend it's going to be appraised. That means kind of assessed differently than your female friend. So you can give like, hey, I don't agree with that, blah, 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 to your male friend. And he'll be like, oh, okay, I'll take it or leave it. But this female friend, you might be like, hey, I don't agree with it. And then she might have a different kind of response that works out negatively. Like she might not, it might make tensions worse between you guys because she might not appraise what you're saying. She's not assessing what you're saying as to be truthful. Like, is it appraisal?
No. I'm simply saying that because, all right, I'm saying that guy to guy discussion versus guy to girl is different. Not that the so if I was a woman, I think that I would get through better to a woman than I would to a guy. Once you introduce that opposite sex into it, I feel like there can just be too much misinterpretation, or you can pervert the reason of why the person feels the way that they feel.
Oh, so
that's what I'm saying.
Because you are a male and you are talking to a female friend about her relationship with another male, it might be received differently. However, if you were a female, that response would be received a little bit differently as well.
In my personal opinion.
Tiana, what do you think?
I don't think that's correct. Okay. And that's the thing. I don't have a lot of male friends to say that would be true or not. But I don't know. I feel like I would take whatever criticism from my male friend or my female friend the same way. I wouldn't look at my male friend as a possible hater or not take what he says as being true, because I don't know. I'm too in love. Like, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. It just sounds like it's like a double standard.
The world is double standards.
It is, but I just feel like not with that situation. Like, I don't.
All right. So let me ask you this. So what happens when you go back to your dude and you say something to him, or like it just comes up in conversation? Not that you're going to, go back and, regurgitate the whole conversation or anything, but you just like, yeah, I had some concerns. I was talking to my guy friend, Chris, and, he said these type of things and it made me think. Now, what if he
might say that, but he could say something like that, but I don't know where that's coming from too. That could be him being guilty and him also trying to manipulate me and said my friend don't know what they're talking about.
And who you gonna believe? Who's gonna trump who?
It's bros over who's.
Your man.
So my friend.
Lying. You are lying.
I'm not lying.
Don't get on this mic and do this.
I am not lying. I'm not lying.
So you're gonna listen to your friend over the person that you're in a relationship with. That relationship's going nowhere.
Okay, I'm not I'm not going to say listen to my friend, but I'm going to take heed with what my friend is saying, because I feel like they're going to come from they're being genuine. They're looking out for my best interest. So I don't think my friend would steer me wrong.
Okay. What was you about to say, Tony?
What would be a reaction from your female friend that would be most desirable in that situation? Like that's what I'm saying. Like because if we know right now that if your female friend is responding in a way that, like you're like, yeah, you're like a hater or something like that, and it's not really going out as you initially. It's like, I wasn't trying to be a hater. I wasn't even trying to mess up our friendship. I was just trying to inform you on something that I'm feeling in my perceptions, and it's not received the way that you intended it to be. What is a way that she could respond that shows that it's intended to be the way it is? Because I'm just trying to wonder, like, okay, what is, like, how did it, if your bros are like responding in that kind of way, like, okay, if your female friends respond the same way as your guy friends, is that more like, okay, yeah, then that's more desirable?
It's not that one is more desirable than the other. To me, it's just simply that they're different responses. And I'm not saying that like my bros is going to be like, oh, like, all right, let me take heed and fall back from shorty. They just going to listen, and then like it's not going to affect our relationship in most cases. To me, this is my all personal experience.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, all right, cool. Like, you feel that way, I get it, and that'd be the end of it. Like, if they gonna apply it, cool. If they not, cool. But we're gonna operate the way we operate, and then he'll have his relationship, and he do with it what he may. As far as with a woman, I feel like the guy has more input.
The guy that he's in a relationship with.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason is because there's another man, someone who could potentially replace him, or or could affect his relationship status, that's making these comments.
Has this happened to you before?
Of course. Come on now. All these women friends I have, you think, and they all come to me asking for advice and crap. And I just, first off, I hate giving advice. I hate it. I absolutely loathe it. It's terrible because no one wants advice. They want confirmation. They want you to support the thoughts that they already have or the decision that they've already made.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the opposite, then you just wasted your breath because they already made their decision. So yes, it happens all the time. Well, has happened a lot. I'll put it that way.
And in that process, have you has the relationship between you and that female friend diminished in some kind of way?
The dynamic can change.
Change like what?
Like I'm not going to be around as much. They may not be around me as much. Because it does start to get weird if it's one thing to be cool with the dude and cool with them as a couple and, everything is good. And then like y'all hang out. But if you don't like her man and then y'all hanging out, it's weird now. Like it may not be supposed to be weird, but to me, it gets a little bit different when it's like, yeah, I'm hanging out with my homegirl, but I hate her nigga. Like that's.
Well, I think that's something we both can agree that if you don't really care for the person, your friend, who they're dating with, you don't want to hang out with both of them together. Like I prefer, like
no, I'm talking about even individually. Like I'm not going to be hanging.
You don't want to hang out with her by herself.
Not often, not on the same like level of like what we would, because like there's a level of comfort like knowing that like yeah, your girl can hang out with me because me and you cool too. Like if y'all having an issue, you can hit my phone. If she not answering her phone and be like, yo, where my shorty at? Like, oh, she right here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole different level of comfort that you experience in that relationship when everything is good. When y'all don't even like now, like say if what happens when he call her and she's sitting next to me. Now she don't want to answer the phone because she don't want to make it awkward. Like, oh yeah, I'm at the dude's house that don't even like you or that you don't like him. So I'm not going to tell you to break up with your dude, but also you ain't going to be like kicking it with me all the time because I think that can just cause a whole different type of issue.
This is interesting because I think you give again. I don't have a lot of male friends, so I don't. The female friends I do have, I think it's like a split. I've seen female friends do that, and I've seen female friends not do that. And then the female friends I do have, I've seen them do that, and I see them not do that as well. It's interesting because, like, I know you, Chris, so I know you have a lot of male friends and you have a lot of female friends, and if this is what you're experiencing, I want to know, like, what is the difference between the two? And Tiana, you identify as a female, so like, I wonder what is contributing, because I don't know if this exists. I'm leaning to, I haven't really experienced this. I haven't experienced that. I have had homegirls when I told them about the guys, or I am notorious for not even opening my mouth about it. And I wonder like, but then I'm notorious about not talking on anybody's relationship. Like if I feel just to lighten up the conversation, but if I feel like my friend is in a relationship, and this is kind of like shame on me, but if I feel like my friend is in a relationship where something's going to go bad or something, like, I don't agree with the member, and I know that like maybe she doesn't or he doesn't accept my feedback in general about anything, so I'm gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna shut up because I've seen this movie before and I know exactly how this ends.
That's me most of the time. I disconnect completely. I tell my friends, if this is a situation that you're going to stay in, like, and for me, I was going to ask you, like, when does becoming the supportive friend becomes too draining? Because then I've been the supportive friend, and I'm taking it all in, and I'm hearing he's doing this, they're doing that, da, 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 and now you're bringing all this energy into me, and I'm all worked up and wild up, and I don't like this person now, and you go right back, and now you're just leaving me here drained with all that emotion and all that craziness for you to just go right back into the situation. So at some point for me, that's too much energy, and I get drained out real fast. So I'm quick to clock out on a situation if I see that that's the route that you're going. And I'm just going to mind my business, and what happens between you guys happens. I'll always cordial because that's my friend, but emotions, energy, I'll clock out fast if it becomes too draining for me.
So I think that gets at a concept. And this is just me being a psychology geek, but we see that a lot. It's called compassion fatigue. So I just looked it up again just to give a more scientific response, but it's like it's a condition characterized by emotional and physical exhaustion, leading to a diminished ability to empathize or feel compassionate for another person. It's often described as the negative cost of caring. So you engage with that person so much, and you're exhausting all of your resources to be empathetic towards them, and it's kind of not getting anywhere. And perhaps in that process, especially if your friend's story or experiences is traumatic, the fact that you care for them and the fact that you're extending this kind of love to them in that moment, you're experiencing some of that pain too. And so that you're getting that vicarious trauma between experiencing it, and you're getting tired of having the same story over and over and over and over and over and over again, that I'm tired. I physically feel exhausted when I talk to you about this. And they might bring it up for a second. Like, damn, I feel tired again already. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, big facts. Yeah, that happens.
But I think compassion fatigue is something that we experience when supporting our friends through toxic or negative relationships. I just am kind of still on the fence if there's gender differences. We can agree to disagree. That's the beauty.
I don't think that there's gender differences as it pertains to, does one person receive it better than the other, or does one gender receive it better than the other? But I think the gender does matter as far as who it's coming from. I think women respond better to women, and I think men respond better to men. And I'm not saying respond better as far as they're going to take what you say and like it's going to mean more. I think that it's going to be taken in a different way of the compassion that they have for you as a person that's expressing the concern, because it can be, I think in one way it can be manipulated. Anytime that there's potential replacement, I think that's where there's a different dynamic.
But
if a girl is always telling me, if Ty was always telling me about my relationship, like, yo, you don't need to be with her, you don't need to be with her, you don't need to be with her, and my girl find out about it, she's gonna be like, why is that bitch like talking about, like, telling you not to be with me, like, as opposed to like if it was like one of my dudes, she might be like, well, why he feel that way? You know what I'm saying? Just like on a very, just like more, I think more simple, non emotional way. I think it'll just be more so like, well, why? What'd I do? Whereas if it's a woman, it don't matter what the reason is. Why is that chick talking about me? She probably just want to get with you. She blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's where there's a difference in the reception.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to play a little bit devil's advocate with that statement, because a lot of the things I'm hearing is that, like, you know, it could be perceived. So by, you know, your friend that's a woman and her boyfriend. So it might be perceived by the boyfriend like, oh, he's hating, or he might be trying to get with you. What happened if, like, for example, if I say that kind of stuff and identify as a gay male? I don't want her.
That's a good question.
Because
But I don't perceive it as hating. That sounds like some male ego stuff to me, honestly. Like,
toxic masculinity.
Right. But I don't know. Like, I haven't experienced that. I haven't experienced that.
But I'm not saying it.
All right, I'll give you the honest answer for myself, Tony.
What's up?
I think that as it pertains to the gay male giving a woman advice, I think it gets taken the same way that it would come from a woman, because there's not the potential of the replacement. So I think that it's just looked at a totally different way. Most people don't believe that men and women can be just friends anyway.
That's what I was wondering, if that's the undertone of everything. It's like,
of course. So anytime that there's like all this, back and forth between the so-called just friends, about a different relationship, nah, like I just don't think that it's the same. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, what are some ways that we can make it or you could do in that moment, or somebody could do in that moment. Like if somebody's listening to this and they're like, oh, I don't agree, or I agree, whatever it is. What are some ways that, I guess, from our point of view, if we are in that receiving position, like that friend is telling us that kind of stuff and we're in that relationship, maybe tied, since you identify as female too, and then I identify as a gay male, Chris is a straight male. So if we are getting that kind of feedback from a male or a female friend, what are some ways that we can ensure that that process of having that critical feedback isn't going to change the dynamic of our friendship? If that's what we're saying the outcome is, that's what's kind of preventing us from even engaging in it. Like, oh, I don't want to ruin a friendship. I don't want to get involved with this. I want to make sure I remain quiet and neutral. But I don't think that's a healthy relationship either, because it's more avoidance. So if there is something, what are some ways that we can do on our end to ensure that, hey, I dotted all my I's and covered all, like crossed all my T's and covered all my bases. So I'll start off with that. But like something that I would prefer if my friend were to come to me with that is, first of all, come with your data and your evidence. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if you have that fear that I'm going to respond that kind of way, perhaps laying something on the table that's objective. Like I'm trying to say, well, he did choke you the other night, or she did in your car. So like that is objective. It's not subjective. It's not something that can be up for interpretation. No, she cut your tires and pushed your grandma off the ledge. So maybe you shouldn't be with her. So like it's something like that. So perhaps I'm thinking, for me, if I was on that kind of receiving end, perhaps laying out all of this objective kind of data, and the data that you've collected too. It might be on some creep status, but if this is a friend I care about, I don't care. I want to make sure that you're okay. So this is the stuff I heard. And I mean, this is the stuff I've seen. And your responses to this have been that you've been upset and you've been sad and you've been hurt from this. Where are you right now with this? And how can I support you through that? And maybe that can set up the tone that, hey, I'm here to support. I'm not here to break this apart. I wonder what do you guys think about that?
I think that's a perfect response. I definitely think the person should come to you with all facts and evidence and whatever that they have to support whatever they're feeling. Just to tell me I don't like that person is just not going to be enough to sway my position in being with them or not. So I definitely think that person needs to come with facts. And then I hope that we will have a good open the line of communication where, all right, you brought these facts to me. Now we can talk and figure out where to go from here. What I'm going to do now with this information.
Now, if a female brings that to you, or if a male brings that to you, and those same kind of like ways of presenting their information and their concern, we do run the risk, apparently, from what we're discussing, that it could be received differently. How can we ensure that it's received in a meaningful way?
If you're a guy, give it to a girl and let her give it to and let her present it. That's the only way it's going to work.
Oh, come on, Chris.
Yo, like I'm being serious.
Is that
though. Like,
you really like that? Can't be the only way. It can't be,
because
I feel like that's
what do I look like bringing you evidence of something? Nah, yo, it's just not going to go over the right way. The toxic masculinity is going to kick in, because he's going to be like, yo, where you find that out from? Chris, what? Now I got to fight bull because he's going to come to me.
Lord have mercy. It's a little funny how things
that can escalate that way. That can escalate that way.
Because he's going to be like, yo, why are you out here? Like, because what I'm going to do, be like, yo, I seen him on Instagram or something. Like, yo, why you checking my page?
So do you
actually,
involve the friend?
Wait a minute. Ty, that happened with, was it me and you? I'm pretty sure long time ago. I didn't even tell her directly.
Kids.
It don't matter. Bull hopped in my inbox saying he wanted to shoot me.
That's because he knew he was wrong and he knew he got caught.
You just made my point.
That was his ego.
Lord have mercy.
All right, so we can. You just made my point. That's all. That's how I feel.
Well, okay, yeah. But a girl can't come back and want to fight you or want to be worked up and be like, I'm gonna go get my brothers or do whatever to harm you. That could go either way.
Okay, less likely.
No,
it's all about percentages.
Well, I think there's a bigger discussion that we have.
But I'll tell you what I do, Tony.
Wait, if somebody's telling you, we can't just breathes off over that, by the way. Like, if there's a bigger somebody jumps in your I want to shoot you. All right, nigga, you're not well. And she's a little bit not well. Like, I get why you would remove yourself, because this is I want to shoot you.
Yeah, so that was that. So I don't really have nothing to say on that.
I would love to hear how people respond to this, because this is something that could use some diversity of thought. So I would love to hear.
It could. So the same people that was like listening and then DMing Tony and DMing me, with their responses, do the same thing. Maybe we should start like posting this stuff like during the week. I'm gonna post like a clip of the question and some of our responses and like let people.
Maybe we should post this in the story.
Yeah, Ty, you should post it.
And
yeah,
Ty.
Yeah,
okay, I'm going to start posting. I'm not even on social media to begin with like that now. I post my plants and I dip.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
So,
or somebody like post that they like bought some soap.
Yeah, that's it. But we better.
We gonna do better. So, a similar scenario, but kind of different because it takes the romantic part out of it. But if two of your close friends are beefing, like your bro and your sis, or your two sisters, your bros, whatever, do you at this age now in our maturity, do you feel like it's important to like try to play the peacemaker and mend with their relationship, or do you just like stay hands off and let the chips fall where they may, so to speak?
I'm going to try to be the peacemaker in the situation. If this is, they're close friends, right? Like this is, okay, of course, yeah. And then I guess if there's been a long-term friendship, because people call bro and sis whatever now, it hasn't been that long. But if this is a friendship that I really feel like is worth saving, it might be something petty that they argued over. A lot of things aren't worth whatever the reason that people stop talking to each other. Right. So if I'm the middle person and we're always hanging out and we're always together, that's a lot. Again, draining energy, trying to be at separate places and hearing one person talk about the other, and like that's a lot. So me personally, I would want to be a peacemaker. Let's piece this up. Let's talk about this. Let's work this out, because 9 times out of 10, like nothing is ever worth losing your friend. I feel like
to you,
someone did to me. Yes. If somebody did something crazy, grimy, you can't, okay, of course. But for the most part, I feel like people can get back to being friends. We're adults now. We need to communicate. We need to talk, work this out, and y'all need to make up.
Got you. Tony?
I'm on the other side of the fence. I tend to be like, let the chips fall where they may. Because I try not to like over personalize the situation. If you have two friends that are having a conflict and you look at your friends individually and they are intellectual individuals, or they're not intellectual individuals, or whatever it is like that, where you guys can't resolve it independently together, I don't know where my presence is really going to help mediate that relationship. It's, and I don't know if this is me coming from a more selfish point of view, but it's not my job to manage your conflicts. Because if the only reason I perhaps could feel like it is my job is because you guys are both my friends. So I would hope that if you are invited, or you guys are in a space where, it's something important for me, that you guys wouldn't show your ass. Like, let's hope that. But and if you do show your ass, that's a bigger conversation. It's not about mediating the relationship between you guys. It's about regulating your own emotional responses. Like, dude, girl, you gotta chill. But, and then I think another level too is accepting the fact that, sometimes relationships organically fall apart. I can't expect one of my friends or another, like, I can't expect both of them to want to mend, and I can't expect one of them to want to mend. If you have a relationship where they both want to mend it, perhaps you won't even need me to interject, because you guys both want to mend it and you guys want to fix it. But if both don't want to mend it, I'm not mediating you guys. What the fuck? Excuse me. Ooh. I'm sorry. Sorry. But like, it's like you guys both don't want to be a part of each other's lives, and that's okay. In the adult world, we're allowed to make those decisions. That is the chapter that's over. but then again, like it's always weird when one wants to work it out and the other one doesn't. And perhaps maybe that's where I'm a little bit more likely to engage or try to mediate. But even if I mediate, it's going to be from the most distant possible way of doing it, because I'm wondering, like, where is your ability to resolve your own interpersonal conflicts in general, especially if it's a lengthy friendship? Like, y'all been friends. Let's say y'all been friends for a few months and y'all kind of beefing now. I'm like, well, you just met them. So,
right.
But like, if y'all been friends for years and it's kind of falling apart, then that is seems like a choice that you guys both made. And if one wants to resolve it, perhaps I would talk to the friend who wants to resolve it. Like, perhaps your problem isn't resolving it, it's accepting the fact that that friendship no longer exists. And maybe that's a conversation that we can have, rather than trying to look for resolution with a party that does not want to engage anymore. So I think that's where I could be at. And I'm kind of on the other side of the fence than what Ty was saying. What do you think, Chris?
So me personally, like, I'm about to turn 33. I ain't got it in me no more. Like, I know that sound like mad trash as a friend, but I just can't do it. Like, if two people, especially if it's something stupid, like if it's something serious, I could see, wanting to have discussions and trying to figure things out. But if it's like a simple disagreement that's turned accelerated into a full blown ending of a friendship that's been, like you said, a long term one and not a new friendship, then maybe somebody outgrew the other person. Maybe, y'all just grown in two different directions, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to, maintain every relationship that you have in your life for your life. Like, sometimes you can just naturally be like, you know what, I'm moving on, and no love lost, but this just isn't going to work. So for me personally, I don't feel the necessity, especially with everything that's going on in the world now. People have their own stressors that they're dealing with, family wise, health wise, financially, mentally, all those different things. And now you're going to add a mending of a friendship or a relationship that you're not directly involved in. It's like you're putting stuff on your plate that like you may not even be able to like rectify or fix. So for me, I take the hands off approach most times, just because like I feel like we're old enough to know, like, all right, this isn't going to work for me anymore. This isn't a relationship that's feeding me. Is now being a detractor. So if I'm looking at it from the outside in, and two people just don't get along anymore, they just have a simple disagreement that's turned into something big, or maybe something major did happen, they just going to have to either figure that out on their own, or just kind of leave me out of it, or just don't figure it out. Just go on and do whatever you got to do to make sure that you're happy, your family's happy. If you got a woman or if you got a man, make sure that they're happy as well. Every friendship isn't going to last, at least not in the capacity that it is now. Because there's like I go to a church where the pastor, he writes books, and he wrote one on relational intelligence is what he calls it. And there's different categories of your relationships, and stewarding your relationships is how you ensure that you're going to be happy and prosperous moving forward. And everybody can't be a close friend. Some people are just going to be associates, so like maybe that person won't be completely cut out of your life, but maybe you have to reevaluate the space that you hold them in. So instead of them being a close friend, maybe there's now an associate. There's somebody you hit up from time to time. That they like, going to basketball games. Hit them up to go to a basketball game, but you're not kicking it, on a personal or private level. It is what it is. Like, you're now in a different space. That's where I have you, because that's where I can manage the relationship and, it not be something that's negative for me. So that's why I don't feel like I need to mend everything, because sometimes things just naturally take a different course.
All right, so I have a question for both of you guys then. Because it seems like a theme coming up is like, for example, Tiana might be more of a peacemaker. I might be kind of with Chris where I don't really want to mend it. But it also sounds like there are things that we are more likely to attempt to mediate, and there are some things that we are more likely not to. So, like, I know, Chris, you had said, like, if it's like a stupid situation, I'm not going to get involved with that. But perhaps if it's a meaningful one or like a serious one, I might get involved with it. So what are situations that don't warrant our interjection? Like, I'm not getting involved with that.
For me, I think it's something like if it's something that can be fixed with a simple conversation, like if it's just a misunderstanding,
Mm-hmm.
like if somebody says something and you took it wrong, and the other person just either doesn't feel the need to explain themselves, or y'all just decide, all right, you know what, I'm not going to talk about it, and like now y'all just both not talking when a simple conversation could like take care of it. No, I'm not getting in that, because it's like, what am I going to do? Sit y'all down and do peer mediation like we in middle school?
Right.
Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna be like, yo, listen, talk to him or talk to her. That's it. Like that's my entire input. Talk to him. If you can't, as an adult, take it upon yourself to have a conversation to rectify a friendship, then there's no place for me to jump in that, because now I'm just doing too much. Like, nah, like y'all grown. Y'all grown. So for me, it's things that I consider simple misunderstandings. If something happens as far as like somebody's family is involved, somebody's significant other is involved, and there's like, it's like, nah, like this needs to be taken care of because potentially somebody could get hands put on them, something like
Somebody
that.
else can get hurt.
Yeah, like I'll jump into that type of situation and be like, nah, like let's figure it out. And depending on what I figure out, I might be like, all right, yeah, you need hands put on you, and then I'm going to step back out again. So to me, it depends on if it's simple versus more complex or more involved. That's my take.
What about you, Ty?
I think I am more inclined to help when it's something more simple than when it comes to something more complex.
Mm-hmm.
And even the simple, because if it's something petty that two people can honestly just talk about, then yeah, y'all need to talk and work that situation out. But I don't know, when it comes, like when you're involved in other people and relationships and families, it gets a little deeper. Then you bring in other people's emotions, and at that point, I think that'll be too much for me. I wouldn't want to deal with that. I wouldn't want to deal with that at all. So yeah, I'd rather, I guess, be more on the simple, petty, all right, you guys can come talk. I guess sometimes too, some people need a little push, and I'm okay with being that support. Let me get you two together. Let me be the mediator. We can talk it out. But yeah, when it involves other people and families, I'm going to step away from that situation for sure.
You know why I think I don't step into like the simple things? It's because like if that's enough for y'all to fall off, I think there was something deeper there already anyway. I think somebody already was like either ready to end the friendship or the relationship, long before that particular misunderstanding. Sometimes like people will intentionally misunderstand you or intentionally do something to like allow pettiness to enter the relationship, so they have a reason.
But what if they have some trauma and it's not that?
We talking about long-term, cool, close friends. They know your traumas.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Most times,
but there are situations where they don't.
Okay. Well, at that point, that's where that simple conversation comes from again. Like, I feel if we're talking about your cool, close friends, something falls apart, the person has a trauma, I think that I won't say easy, because when people have trauma, I'll never associate easy with trauma. But I think that it's a better opportunity for a conversation to be had to explain themselves. Like, this is why this is happening, or this is why, I feel the way that I feel. This is why what you said triggered me, because it is a close friend that you're having the conversation with. When it's a stranger or someone that you not really that cool with anyway, yeah, like you don't really feel the need to revisit that. But for someone that you're really, really close with, nah, I don't see a relationship falling apart over a simple misunderstanding because you were triggered by one of your traumas. I don't see that happening.
This is interesting. This is really interesting, because we are still on like, what are situations that you would intervene and what are situations that you won't intervene. But then it's just like when you're trying to.
Well, what's something you would intervene on or wouldn't intervene on?
When it comes to, again, like my first thought always goes to, after the experience has happened, whatever you guys went through, are both parties' motivation to want to mend it still there? Because it's hard for me to engage somebody in something that they are already made up in their mind that they don't want to engage in. Like if they both want to work on it, but they can't see eye to eye, there's differing opinions, then perhaps my presence would help mediate that a little bit better. It might present a little more of an alternative or objective view or whatever. It's like that. But I think from my experiences, it is very different because I think we said in the beginning, you being adult, like us being adults, like we're like, it is whatever it is. Like we don't, like if you guys can't mend it in your adult life, we're like, what the hell can we do? We're adults too. Like it is what it is. But like I think there are situations where I do want to step in when somebody is victimized. So it's more of like, you shouldn't have did that to that person because now they had to be victimized in some kind of point of view. Because it takes more away from the mediation and more for my advocacy for my other friend. So just like, that's not right. And they're going to give you some resistance because people are so seduced by their own way of thinking. And when you're in that kind of heightened responsive and you're trying to get back at somebody, or you don't want to be flexible with your cognitions or the way that you're perceiving things, then of course it's going to be hard for me to persuade that. But if I can persuade you, or if I'm going to be able to, provide an alternative view, I will do that. And when people are victimized, so the person could have been physically harmed, emotionally harmed, or like mentally harmed or something like that in that process of you guys' conflict. Because, when people get really upset, adults or not, people try to shoot for the jugular and really try to hurt you. So I'm like, okay, you guys were arguing over money, but you talked about the fact that their parent passed away. What does that have to do with it? Like you were trying to make your point. Okay, that's wrong. And they can give you like, well, she said and he said, well, okay, that's wrong. And trying to be that kind of objective person. But that, if I even do that, and this is where it's even leading, it's going to run the risk, just like in a romantic thing, to blow it back in my face. I might become, this enemy, or you're siding with them. That's why I think it's very important, even as adults. I think even for kids, like I hope kids, or even kids, especially teenagers, to evaluate the friendships that you do have. Are these people that you are keeping around simply because you guys grew up with them and you guys have all of these kind of great memories together, but you guys are mentally two different people, intellectually two different people, psychologically two different people. And that's where I think what Chris is saying, like there could be a lot of underlining things where you guys aren't the same people you guys weren't. I think this to me, to try to wrap this point up, it's the same thing like a romantic relationship or marriage. When you commit to that kind of person, you have to commit to the person they will become too, because the person I am at 20, it's not going to be the same person I am at 30 and 40 and 50. The same thing with my friend. I was friends with you since I was 10. Tony at 20 is not the same person, nowhere near it. There might be some underlying personality characteristics, but I would hope that I am intellectually a different person. So being able to grow with that person and be kind of, how would you say, open to that change that they're bringing to the table, I think help facilitates more of a mediation. But if that kind of person's like, you know what, I don't care about this friendship anymore, then there's nothing I can do, because you in your mind have already created all of the evidence that you need to make sure that your position is the most appropriate. So that's, I tend to go more with the individual person, if that's sure.
And I think you made a good point where, you said if like one person was victimized, like absolutely, if one person, like if it's a one-sided thing where like, yeah, fam, what you did was grimy, you know what I'm saying? Like that was some dirty stuff. Then I'm more so, and even then, I'm not saying I would get involved,
but I would advocate.
And for the people that, aren't familiar with the whole advocating thing, for me personally, I'm just going to say it like the simple way. I'm going to pick sides. I'm just straight going to be like, listen, bro, like, nah, you was wilding and you owe that man an apology, or you owe, her an apology. So that's where I usually come from as it pertains to someone that may have been victimized in the friendship or the relationship, because I feel like if you don't take sides, you become an enabler, especially if you're going to stay friends with both parties.
Right.
If you're going to, draw, or take a firm stance and be like, yo, like, listen, if you're doing this kind of stuff, I'm going to end my relationship with you too.
Enabler that's for the perpetrator?
Enabler for the, yes, for the person as, for the perpetrator, the person that's doing things to the other person or did the foul stuff, whatever you want to, however you want to paint it.
Okay.
Like, if you're not going to, kind of check them and just being like, yo, like, listen, if we're all friends and you're doing these kind of things, like, and you don't, go try to fix it, mend it or something, or make some type of apology, then yeah, at that point, I'm looking like to me, I feel like you're enabling that person and their behavior, because otherwise, because at that point it's going to continue. Because if there's no apology and there was a clear, let's be clear, if there was a clear wrongdoing, not something where, it can be interpreted wrong, then yes, that needs to be, you got to say something about that. Now, if it's something where like it can go one way or the other, I'm hands off.
Okay, because I was going to say, then shouldn't you be the friend to mediate? Because someone hopefully is clearly wrong in a situation, and you can, because sometimes people need to see from outside of themselves to see if they made a wrong decision or not. So you being that person to mediate will allow that person to know, I messed up. I didn't do something right. I need to apologize, or I need to fix this with my friend.
So let me do what Tony was asking us to do earlier. I'll give you a specific scenario. If one of my boys made a pass or physically made an inappropriate touch to one of my other boys' girl, you're clearly wrong. If you make up in your mind that, oh, we beefing, he overreacted, yada yada, and you feel you don't need to go apologize to that man for that, nah, fam. Like, I can't even be friends with you on some stuff like that. Like, all right, you bugging. Like, if it was something where it's like, no, I think it was a misunderstanding, like we kind of accidentally brushed up again, that's something else,
right? Okay.
But no, if you made a pass, you physically touched her, and like he's upset about it, one person has been victimized. There's one side to this. You need to go make that right. So that's where I'm coming from as as it pertains to that. If it's like a misunderstanding, and honestly, when it comes to stuff like that, you can't even get off the accidental brush. Like, nah, you shouldn't even be that close. Like you kind of close, player. You know what I'm saying? Like, you bugging. But that's just like a surface level type of scenario that I could paint where like one person is clearly wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Like some scenarios when two friends are having a conflict, it's much more apparent. Like, it's easier to choose sides.
It's all about respect at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think
that a lot of friendships lack basic respect.
Yeah. And
that's where there can be the bigger problems that come from smaller ones. Because if there was a respect involved with a lot of these interactions or, dealings where people have fallen out, they would get resolved quicker because of the respect that you have for the person and for the relationship. But since I feel like there's a basic lack of that, that's why ego is it becomes bigger than it needs to be. That's why people feel like they don't need to apologize, or they don't need to, try to understand where the other person is coming from, because that's a lot of it. Even in romantic relationships, most people automatically go on the defense. They listen or they hear something and they immediately want to respond back with, no, that's not right. And instead of just sitting still, listening and being like, all right, I get why you would have felt that way. I don't agree with it,
right,
but I can get where you're coming from, and I see how you could have perceived it that way. If that type of respect was extended, and that grace was extended in friendships as well as relationships, people would have a lot better and more sustaining and fulfilling relationships.
I agree.
In every aspect.
Yeah.
That is true.
I agree. I think to also, expand on this
message.
That boy was preaching. All right.
I think to expand on that, I think the hard things about like having two friends have a conflict, and if we know that there are certain things that we're going to respond and things we don't, I think one of the also things is that sometimes, in the example that Chris gave, where a friend basically did something inappropriate to the other friend's girlfriend, so that's very clear cut. That's very apparent. That's very overt. But a lot of these conflicts that I witness or see over the years, it's much more nuanced than that. It's much more like it's more subtle. There's little issues to it that it's not all collectively one event. Does that make sense? So, like when and that's why intervening is so difficult. And I think one thing that you said, like one thing to help, these subtle issues wouldn't be the problem if you had respect for your friend. Therefore, this conflict wouldn't even happen. But when it does happen, and when there needs to be mediation and both parties are interested in the mediation, but the situation isn't as overt as like, a physical past or something. It is much more nuanced and subtle, and there's different little things in it. That's why I'm wondering, I'm like, well, at that point, I don't think there might be conflict resolution. I think you guys might have to accept that both of you guys are going to disagree. And what does that disagreement mean for your friendship? And what does your friendship look after this disagreement? You get what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. So I can try to mediate all day, and it's really challenging to mediate two conflicts where both conflicts have valid points. Both of them have valid points. So just like that's why I was like, oh shit, I don't even know, because when they both have valid points, it's like this
torn.
Yeah, this kind of righteous indignation of you wanting to be the right person. It's going to be refuted by them also having the right facts too. So with that being said, I think moving past that conflict for friends, if they're in that kind of dispute, or if you want to help mediate your friends who both have valid points, is not really trying to restructure the way that they think, but apply methods to help them accept that this is where the chips are going to fall right now. And if you guys want to remain in a friendship, this is what you're going to have to accept. And what does that acceptance mean for you in this friendship moving forward? Because if you don't properly learn how to accept this, you guys are going to have another conflict based off of the same bullshit. So like I think that's the problem. I think people, especially when it's like meaningful, like friendships or something like that you guys had for years, you guys were best friends and blah, blah, blah. You like this crap. And of course it's.
Well, that's why when you were saying like, if both parties are interested in mending it, it's like if y'all both interested in mending it, go talk. Pick up the phone. There's 90 million forms of communication now.
Send it's not always easy for people to do that, though. Yeah. People's ego can be crazy.
That's the biggest problem is the ego.
Through the roof. And I feel, right, and maybe that's why I'm so, let me try to mediate, because I know people's ego can be crazy, and they know that they may be wrong or the situation maybe petty, is not that serious, but their ego won't allow them to look at the other person's perspective.
It's very
to even say that, okay, let me take a step back and look at the whole situation, not just how I perceived it.
Yeah,
it's hard sometimes for people to look outside themselves.
To be right, it's like that whole process, like. That's like righteous indignation. Like you want to be right. It feels good to be right. It feels good when you can make a point and you have buy-in on your side. That's why I'm pretty sure after, if you look at that conflict, they probably ran to people that's going to support their way that they responded. I'm happy as hell.
Always.
They always want to. So I'm like, that movement, when do you ever see somebody run to somebody right after a conflict to try to refute them? You're not going to really see that. I don't see that as often. You're going to run to somebody like, yeah, she was crazy, right? Yeah, he was on some other shit. Like, yeah, you're going to want to run to somebody that does that. And I think what Chris said, like, to talk it out. But I think the challenge with that, even when you do talk it out, like Ty was saying, you're going to what happened if you do try to talk it out? Both parties are bringing valid points to the table. So you guys can debate all day over the validity of these points. But if both of them make sense, but then you brought, wait, hold on now. You brought it like, then like, but they still want to, then what will your role be in this? Because you're trying to be you're
no, because at that point, then I don't have a role. If y'all both talking, y'all both have valid points, then at some point with good friends that know how to communicate, that are, listening to understand and not listening to respond, y'all gonna fix that. And the fixing doesn't always mean reconciliation.
It might mean acceptance.
It might mean acceptance. Mm-hmm. So I have no role at that point. And that's why I was saying that I would be the one that would be hands off, because now I don't have to decide like, oh, is this going to be, something that, okay. So this is the way I look at mediation as it pertains to friends. Usually you're mediating to reconcile the friendship, to fix things, so that things can go back to how they were before whatever situation occurred. You usually don't mediate to be like, all right, so by the end of this, we all gonna go our separate ways. That's not how that works.
Or what if you're mediating to help each other understand where the person's coming from, their feelings? If someone can't communicate how they feel, that person's there to mediate, to help.
I feel like that's what normal mediation is.
Because I feel like if people can communicate, fine. There's no mediate. There's no point of you being there. You won't be mediating.
So this is how mediation was for me growing up. If you got into a fight, with somebody, whatever, they put you in a room with like some random person that's like not cool with either one of y'all. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that do the mediating because they don't have a say in anything. They don't care if
they won't be biased.
Yeah, they're going to be non-biased as possible. When it's friends, I feel like there's an absolute bias. Of course I want y'all to be friends at the end. Otherwise I wouldn't be putting my energy into it. Like if it was going to fall apart and I was cool with it falling apart, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to both parties. That's me. Really? I'm not going to be sitting here having this conversation with y'all if at the end y'all not going to be friends. Because y'all not friends now. So why don't we just let everything be the way it is?
But what if you're there to mediate it to help it be less chaotic? Like what if it's that's crazy
chaos?
I just think the mediator is there to bring understanding, whether or not they're going to be friends or not at the end of the day. But I think that person's there just to be level-headed, to not be biased, and just maybe not to bring the situation back, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I just don't see me getting involved with the situation just so at the end of it y'all can be like, all right, we understand each other. And then that's it. It's like, all right, so y'all understand each other, so y'all gonna squash it? Like that's how I look at it. There has to be some type of end game for me to want to get involved. And the end game is not simple understanding. This is not an escape song. Like, we need more than that. That's me. Psychology, Tony.
It's going to go longer because I take a completely different point of view. So, and I'm trying to because if I bring up my philosophy of thinking of this way, they're going to be like, Tony, this is literally not the point, but this is where I'm operating from. So I'm looking at the way that I've learned about conflict resolution, kind of mimics this theory of like family, friend, marriage counseling. If you ever go to these kind of services, the individual, if they're competent at what they're doing, is going to let you know that we're going to engage in this type of therapeutic process, but the goal of this isn't to you guys' friendship or whatever your problem back together. The goal is for it to seek some type of clarity so that way you guys can make more of an informed decision. And a part of that is understanding, but a part of that is understanding what are some of you guys' mutual traps and what are some conflicts that have the difficulty with distress tolerance in your relationship. So this has been drilled in my head over the years. So I tend now in my adult years to operate from that point of view when it comes, because I just had to mediate some relationships in my family, and they just decided we're not going to be together. And I'm like, oh, whoa.
Sorry.
That scared me. But that's the way I operate. It's just like sometimes the goal of if I'm here to help you guys and you guys are both really don't know where to see eye to eye, you guys might, through this deep conversation of exploring and processing, that you guys might find out that you guys' relationship isn't a healthy relationship to keep. And that's okay. and this is your evidence you have from it. And now you guys know both parties. So there is no misunderstanding from it. So that might be the outcome. And I need to be okay with that. And you guys all need to be okay with it. Like the people who are engaging in a conflict. So
this is your degree talking.
I know.
That's
what
right.
That's what I said.
Totally your degree.
I know. That's whatever, y'all. Whatever.
If you didn't go to school for this, you wouldn't feel none of that. None of it.
That's what I just said. I said like that. My perspective has kind of changed because that seems to be more of a insightful way to try to whatever, y'all. Y'all ain't gonna shame me. Whatever.
You're not gonna shame me.
No shame.
So check it. All right. So listen, we got one more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this one could probably be quick, but it was just something that popped up in my head as I was like thinking through everything. Do you feel like there is a possibility of you being too truthful in a relationship? Friendship, romantic, anything.
What is too truthful?
Too truthful. Like
everything you say is just coming out honesty.
So you're being blunt.
Blunt, sure.
So like,
or not even just pretty much being to the point where like if you're asked a question, regardless of how it may make the person feel, you don't take that into account. You just tell what you know as the truth.
I'm still kind of confused. I'm sorry.
I think you can be too truthful. And I feel like you can be too truthful, and I feel like it really only matters to the person that you're telling the truth to, because not everybody's going to be able to handle that honesty. It may just be too much. You understand it now, Tony? So
like abrasive honesty, like because this is what I'm thinking, like, this is just the most basic example. So maybe you guys can help me understand. So you're going to your significant other and you're like, how does this look? And they're like, you look fat. Versus them saying, because that's an honest, abrasive.
That's you
opinion.
being honest, right?
Or versus you saying, because this is me also delivering the same information, but more in an empathic, gentle, warm way of saying like, oh, it doesn't flatter you the way it should.
So that's like you being like brutally honest, like, are you being versus like you being a little passive.
All right, I got one for y'all.
Yeah.
What if one of your somebody you're in a relationship with is just on some stuff like, do you find any of my friends attractive?
What the hell?
Come on.
Nah, seriously. And you just be like, yeah, your best friend, like,
yeah, your best friend, he fine.
Wait, what is there's two questions I got for you right now. I think it's I mean, that's, you can
that's wild.
So
am I tripping and like is this not like a real thing?
First of all, why is the question being answered?
That question has been answered. That question has been asked to me before.
That could be like on their part of them being insecure.
Of course. Now, but me knowing that.
So do you answer?
Should I cater to that insecurity and be like, no, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life? Or do I just be honest and be like,
that's where I say it depends on the person, because if you know that your significant other is insecure and is struggling with her weight, why would you say that? I mean, and that was Tony's example, but your example, if she's insecure about how she look or whatever, and you go and tell her that, yeah, her best friend looks good.
Mind you, this isn't
okay.
something that actually, this isn't how I answered. I just want to put that out there. I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation.
That's a little wild.
It's not like I'm like, oh yeah, she look better than you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm not saying like being on some stuff like that, but like if you answer truthfully, like, yes, you have some attractive friends. Are you now like? I don't know. I'm just, that was just an example of like something that could be too truthful, where you could just be like, no, you could have kept that to yourself.
I mean,
or you could have told a white lie.
So why would you ask that question if you didn't want to hear the truth?
People ask questions they don't want to hear the truth to a lot.
That's a setup. That's them setting themselves up.
All right, so back to what I'm. Can you be too truthful? Can you or should there be a healthy amount? A healthy, not amount, but healthy lies or healthy omissions that you tell in a relationship.
Little white lies.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like that depends on the person, because if y'all have that type of relationship where that person is where that person is also being completely honest with you about any and everything, and
Right.
that's how you guys communicate, then I'm all for it. But if you know that your partner is not going to be receptive to that type of honesty, don't do that. That's a setup.
Don't do that.
That's a complete setup.
Man, people set themselves up all the time.
You should know
for
better.
all kinds of failures.
Oh no.
Listen, I hear you. I agree. But there are different scenarios and people have their reasons for doing what they do, and you don't always understand them. But, you know, as the person that's on the receiving end
That's
of those
like
type
what
of things,
they say, don't go looking for something that you're going to find
'cause
the
you
answer
always
to,
gonna
or something,
find
because
it.
you always going to find that's
you
the real.
always going to find
That's the
it.
real.
Do not go through a phone if you're not expecting
Not ready
to
for the
find something.
truth, right?
Bruh. Not with that laugh.
Because I'm just relating.
Unfortunately, I can relate too. I didn't go through a phone. Have I ever gone through a phone? Have y'all ever gone through a phone? Tony?
Yup.
Proudly.
Y'all
Went through a phone 2 weeks ago.
Hello.
2 weeks ago.
Sent some pictures.
Jeez.
Collected that evidence, remember?
Oh wait. So are you one of the people that like collect the evidence and then like present it all at once? Like it like in your opening statement, like, so I'm going
Exhibit
to now
A.
prove, right?
Yeah.
And then just have a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes, I am.
I hate it.
Mhm.
I hate it.
Mhm.
I had somebody used to do that to me.
Yes.
It was terrible.
Well,
It was
terrible. The challenge with it is that it's evidence, and I want to see how are you going to approach this evidence. Like, this is what I see. Make it make sense, because the math ain't
All right.
mathing.
So how
That'd
would
be
you
the
feel?
worst thing. If I ask you a
Shit don't add
question,
up.
you know I'm asking you something because I already know the answer. So if I'm coming to you like, oh, who was this on your phone, or would you know that I already know.
All right, so let's relate this back to the original topic or this last third question. So say you gather your evidence, Tony, Ty, y'all got y'all evidence together, right? And y'all presenting it, and the person just copped to everything. They just like, yeah. Are they now just like, do you prefer to have like an explanation, or are they just like, yeah, I did it?
No, that is my explanation.
That's it. Yeah.
That is my explanation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And then what?
See, there's
Like, what comes after that?
See,
It's like, oh, all right.
Okay.
There's a difference though. Like, if like the way you're putting it, like, see, so maybe this is where you're getting at, like this kind of unapologetic, brute honesty, where you're just like, yeah. So, like, there is no, because I'm hearing and that's literally the response I got. So literally
See,
what I
that's
got.
what you get.
So, and I'm over here like, that was the biggest criticism, because I'm just like,
Right.
like, this is what I'm talking about. It's not, while I did violate and I did go through some stuff that I wasn't supposed to go through, and I do admit to that, what you're bringing to the table now is this lack of like empathy for how that could make me feel, the fact that you're engaging in that. So, and it makes me feel like, okay, so you want to be brutally honest, but this is an undertone of empathy. Like, you want to be brutally honest, and you want to say things just to like, for the fact that you're priding yourself in honesty, not realizing that could negatively hurt me. Yes, you got your point across, and yes, you're being honest, but in that process, I was hurt. And that pain that I'm experiencing right now doesn't seem like it means anything to you, because you're going to be like, well, I was honest. Well, I was honest. Well, I was honest. And I'm like, yeah, but I was hurt. I was hurt. I was hurt. So does your honesty weigh just as much as me being in pain? And if it doesn't, then that's my informed decision. Maybe you're not the person for me, because a person who cares about me would communicate their honesty in an empathic, compassionate way. Like, yeah, I went through that stuff. What was it? There was an example earlier that you said, Chris. I really forgot.
What the attractive friend was?
Yeah, so you could.
That's a terrible.
That's a terrible example. That's an awful example for the person. But if you are this person that prides yourself in being honest all the time, and if your partner needs empathy back when you're being honest, so those are two needs that need to be met. I'm going to be real regardless. I'm going to be 100%. Okay, good for you. And I'm going to get hurt in the process of it. I don't know which way that you can deliver it, but then don't blatantly say, just, yeah. and to just leave it alone, because that's going to hurt me too. If you value you being with me, you have to figure out some type of equal medium to make sure that, yeah, you can be honest, and then my partner is not damaged in the process. Because I'm like, not all honesty, maybe that's where you're getting at, Tiana, about these white lies. Not all honesty needs to come off so brute. Like you can tell, like you don't always have to tell a white lie either. I don't need to lie. You can be honest, and maybe that is a discussion. It's going to be an uncomfortable one, but perhaps that's a necessary discussion that you need to have in your conversation, right? I mean, your relationship right now, that you do find one of her friends attractive. That's going to be a painful discussion, but she asked it. So,
but the thing is, I don't even think it needs to be a conversation, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't have said nothing if you didn't ask.
But she did.
All right. So now what?
So now we got to have a conversation about it.
That's
that makes no sense.
What? I think it does. I think, in relationships you're going to have. Well, maybe let me shut my ass up. Okay.
What are you supposed to like?
I don't know.
Not have eyeballs just because you like get into a relationship.
So
like
you
don't ask me that.
You thinking that?
Yeah. Why would you be asking your like? I don't know. Why would you be asking that question?
It's happened before. I mean, but it was like, it's dumb. And it's just like, yo, fam, like, why are we having this conversation?
Because it's like, are you looking for me to say that? So then we can get into an argument and you want to be a victim?
Wow.
Like, I could see if I was on some stuff where, like, you know, it was like, yo, you be looking at her a lot, or y'all be hanging out a lot, or y'all be doing, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or like,
you heart eyes underneath the picture.
Yeah. While you heart eyed under the, I could see that. But if it's just like on some just like random, I just want to know stuff, like, yo, like what do you get out of that conversation?
Right. You just fishing.
This is such complicated simplicity.
Stuff to be mad about.
It's always complicated simplicity. You know, we think it's simple, but it be complicated. And sometimes it be complicated, but we be thinking it's simple.
Dog, come on.
What we preaching? Oh, shout out to Turquoise. She called me Bishop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, love Turks. I love Turks.
Right. Shout out to Turk and all her amazing blessings. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? I that was just something that was like on my mind. Like, yo, is there like a point where you just like kind of need to manage your lies or your omissions for the sake of being empathetic?
Well, I would love this is I haven't had long lasting sustaining relationships like that, so I'm not like, I always think like I'm not the best person to talk about that, but I would love to ask that to like a couple that's been in a relationship for 50, 40, 30 years and see what they say about that.
I was say 50. I don't know if I want to talk to anybody that's been together for 50 years.
Well, I would. Damn, Chris.
Not about that. I'm like,
you might find out that we had to tell some white lies. You had to bite my tongue.
First off, if they've been together for 50 years, they done told more than white lies.
Oh, they told lies.
They told real lies. And you don't want that conversation to come up. You're going to mess up 50 years of love. No, Tony, we're good. Yeah. We're going to stick to our demographic. I'll ruin one of these millennial relationships. I don't care about that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
They be all right. They got Tinder. They be all right.
Yo, okay. That could be a topic for future.
Yeah, we got to cover dating in the endemic. We can't do it this week, but we definitely going to cover dating in the endemic.
Yeah.
What?
You're not doing that?
Would you want to do date? We had like an hour and 42 minutes. You want date in the endemic? You got some stuff that you need to get off?
No, not now.
Because if you,
I mean,
we going to show for next week. We going to lead with that.
Okay.
See, you already ready. You ready. But because you know what I'm saying, we on just stick the pen into this one, with these three particular questions. But yeah, we can do date in the endemic next
definitely
week.
need to do date in the endemic.
All right, we know who got their eHarmony profile updated. You a Black Planet?
It's back.
Oh yeah, Solange.
So I heard.
So you heard.
So I heard.
What's your name on there?
Earth Bay.
Earth Bay. So what we're gonna do is wrap up. But hopefully we get some feedback and y'all can tell me if I'm crazy. because I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with a lot of stuff I said this week, but I don't really care.
That's okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying, like thick skin. I'm saying we adults, healthy
and
conversation.
It's your opinion.
That's my opinion, and I can be. This is the thing. My opinions can be swayed. I'm not one of those stubborn people where like you can't tell them nothing. Like you can sway me a little bit, so I'm with it. But you better have the facts, like Tony had when he went through that phone.
Back it up. Mm-hmm.
Back it up. Back. Oh, and shout out to WAP. Keep streaming.
And Kamala.
I don't care what y'all say.
I always
Shout out to
think
Kamala.
about WAP.
Please
WAP,
vote.
WAP.
Please vote. What'd you say about WAP?
You know
WAP?
the WAP, but that dance, not
Mm.
WAP, 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 WAP. No.
Do you know the artist?
No.
Is it new?
It's a dance song. No.
No, I'm sorry.
I'll play it.
Oh,
for you.
no. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, but no, you can't say it
No.
like that,
Okay.
Yeah. Yo, wait, real quick. Little humor to end the show. Did y'all see that meme on Instagram where it was like skinny girls got that WAP and BBW's got that WAP WAP lamb? Yo, the internet does not lose, yo. The internet is undefeated. I don't know why I thought that was so funny.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, just all right, I'm done. But no, seriously, when we say support Black women, fellas, I'm speaking to the men. Don't support Black women when it's convenient. It's so unbecoming of us. Like they support us in everything. They've been our punching bag forever, and all we do is every time that they rise up to a level of excellence, no matter how you feel about it, we find reasons to tear them down. I think that's whack. Like the fact that we have a vice presidential nominee who is Black. She may not be a Black or an African American, but she is Black. Her dad is Jamaican. The fact that we have her, the fact that on the top of the Billboard charts, number one in the entire United States, I don't know if that's the world, but whatever, but in the United States is Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. They broke all kind of records. There is excellence coming from our women, and we should support that. If you have an opinion about it, that's fine, but keep that same energy in other forms and facets as well. That's my statement. And that's just how I feel about it. If y'all have anything y'all need to get off before I hit the stop button, please do.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
3rd grade. And we still ain't get it. We still ain't get it. Tony, you good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, yeah, next week we coming back, dating an endemic, and we gonna pull up Ty's MySpace page.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Out.